Hey guys, today we are starting our second part of the solving quadratics by factoring. Yesterday we did the odd problems, and so if you missed the video for yesterday's lesson, go back, take a look at this one. This is the second video where we're just going to do the evens. All right, so yesterday we did the odds, today we're going to do the even problems. So all of this might not make a whole lot of sense to you, which means you should go back and do that video. All right, but we're going to go ahead and just dive in here to right to number 2. And remember, whenever we are solving these quadratic equations, what we're trying to do is step number 1 is move everything to one side and get the other side just equal to 0. That way I can factor and solve. So I need to move this 10m here over to the left side. So I'm going to start off today by minusing this 10m. Now, it's important that we put things in the correct order. We want my variable squared first, then we want my variable next, and then we want my whole number on the end. So whenever I rewrite this, I'm going to write it 3m squared minus 10m minus 8. And that's really important because it gives me my a, my b, and my c. And so it's important that we have my variable squared first, then my variable, and then my whole number. Okay? All right. So now we just go through the steps of factoring. So first step of factoring always is to look for a GCF, or a greatest common factor. In this case, we'll look at 3, 10, and 8. And we're going to say that there is no GCF. All right, second step, we label. We label my A, my B, and my C. And it's important that we also make sure that my A is positive. That goes back to our GCF. If your A is negative, we're going to pull out that negative. So that way we can solve it correctly. All right, so my A is going to be 3. My B is going to be negative 10. My C is going to be negative 8. All right, so we have A equals 3. B equals negative 10. C equals negative 8. That allows me to do my X and my plus. On top of my x, remember we go a times c, so that's going to be 3 times negative 8. We're going to have a negative 24 up there. On the bottom of my x, we have my b, and my b is going to be negative 10. And so now we're thinking of two numbers that multiply to equal negative 24, but add to equal 10. My first thought is 6 and 4. However, 6 times 4 is 24, but we need one negative and one positive, so it's not going to add up to be a negative 10. How about these two numbers instead? What about negative 12 and a positive 2? Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. Negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. So I'm going to have ax, and my a is 3, so we're going to go 3x, sorry, change color, 3x, 3x, and then we have our minus 12 and 2. Okay, my first one here, 3x plus 2. That can't really simplify. I mean, it can't reduce, so we're just going to have a 3x plus 2 as my first factor. However, this next one can simplify. 3x minus 12 can simplify. All right? And all it's going to give me is 3x minus 12. We're just going to get x minus 4. Okay? We can divide both of these by 3. So 3x divided by 3, negative 12 divided by 3, and so we're just going to get not 3x, because that goes away. We're going to get, let's write this back, sorry about that, 3x plus 2 and an x minus 4. All right, now these are my factors, but we have to remember that they are set equal to 0. And so we found the factors so that way I can find my answers. Because of the zero product property, we can set both of my factors equal to 0 and solve each one of them. So I'm going to take my two factors. I'm going to take 3x plus 2, set that equal to 0, and I'm going to take my x minus 4. Actually, I'm going to give myself some more space. Then I'm going to take my x minus 4 and set that equal to 0. Okay, my one up here. We're trying to solve for x, right? So I need to minus 2 to start, and that's going to give me 3x equals negative 2. And then lastly, we're going to divide both sides by 3. You might be thinking that, Mr. Martin, that gives me a fraction. Yeah, fractions aren't bad. Let's see what it gives me. it's going to give me, as my final answer here, x equals negative 2/3. All right? If I divide both sides by 3, it gives me x equals negative 2/3. All right, down here, though, watch what else I can do. We just add 4 to both sides, and we're going to get my final answer here of x equals 4. So here are my two answers, x equals negative 2/3 and x equals 4. And we have to always pay attention and look back at what my question is asking me. This time my question is asking, what is the non-negative, right here, what is the non-negative root of this answer? Remember, root is just another name for my solution, my answer. And so x equals 4. That is the non-negative one. So that's going to be my final answer, and we're not going to use negative 2/3. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next page. Remember, we're just doing the evens today, so you can see that everything else is filled in for the odds, but that's because we did the odds yesterday. Take a look at number 4 here. First step, remember, is we move everything to one side. So I'm going to minus 5 here, minus 5 here, and we're going to get x squared minus 2x equals 0. Hey, wait a second. This isn't a trinomial anymore. This is a binomial. We have x squared minus 2x. How am I supposed to solve this? Well, just like every other problem, we start off with the greatest common factor. What's the greatest common factor of these two? Yeah, the greatest common factor is going to be x. They both have a x in common. So we're gonna divide both these by x. We're going to pull out an x to the front, and we're going to get x minus 2 there in the front. So we have x times x minus 2 equals 0. And then we set our factors equal to 0. Now, if you have a factor that has x in it, even if it's a GCF, we're going to set it equal to 0. So my GCF here is x. So we set that equal to 0 to solve, right? We have x equals 0, and my other equation is x minus 2 equals 0. Well, I can't even solve this anymore. There's my answer. And over here, I can still continue solving this. I'm just going to add 2 to both sides, and I'm going to get x equals 2. So there's our two answers. X could equal 0 or x could equal 2. So we take our factors, whatever factors have an x in it, including the GCF, and set it equal to 0. All right. Let's try this one down here, number 6. We have negative x squared minus 1 equals 2x. Now, like I said, we want to move everything to one side, right? Now, you can move either direction. We could take that x squared and add it to the other side, or we could take this negative 1 and add it to the other side and get it all over this way. But let's practice factoring out a negative, okay? So I'm going to, first and foremost, I'm going to minus 2x here, minus 2x here. And so that's going to give me, make sure you write it in the correct order, right? X squared, x's, and then your whole numbers. So I'm going to write negative x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, then we look for a GCF. Now here's the thing. The GCF on this one, there isn't one. However, I cannot leave my a negative, right? And right now my a is negative. So my GCF is actually going to be a negative 1. I'm going to pull a negative out of each one of these, all right? I'm going to pull a negative out of here, a negative out of here, a negative out of here. So my new equation is going to be negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. And then we go about labeling it. This is my A, this is my B, this is my C. So your A is 1, your B is 2, your C is 1. Okay, so now we do my X and my plus. On top of my X, A times C is just 1. On bottom we have 2. Well, I don't think this one could be any easier. My two numbers on the side are just going to be 1 and 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. All right, then we go AX. So 1x, 1x. Then I put my numbers in here, a 1 and a 1. It's looking kind of fishy. So we're just going to go negative. Neither of these reduce, of course, so it's just going to be x plus 1 times x plus 1. All right, if you have factors that repeat, like we do on this problem, you're really only going to get one answer. It's what's called a double root. All right, and so I really only have to solve for one of them. We just have x plus 1 equals 0. Minus 1 to both sides, and we're going to get x equals negative 1. And that's my only answer. X equals negative 1. That is it. All right, guys, we're going to continue onward. Let's turn the page to our final page here. Let's take a look at number 8 and number 10. All right. Number 8. Once again, we're trying to solve this one by factoring, right? So first step, move everything to one side of my equation. So I'm going to minus 10x minus x squared minus 11. And so we're going to do the same thing, of course, to the other side, right? We're going to get a minus x squared minus 10x, and we can't forget this negative 11. Now, whenever you rewrite your equation, make sure that you rewrite it in the correct order. So we're going to rewrite it as 2x squared, because 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. X minus 10x is negative 9x, and then I can't forget about this negative 11. So then we have 2x squared minus 9x minus 11 equals 0. And so now we look for a GCF between these three, and there is none. We have no GCF. So then I'm going to label. We have an A, a B, a C. My A is 2. My B is negative 9. My C is negative 11. Okay? And so we're going to do our x and our plus, of course. Let's do it out here this time. X and plus. On top of my x, 2 times negative 11 is going to be negative 22. All right? Then, on bottom, we're going to have a negative 9. And then on the plus, we have a 2x, not a 2a, a 2x, a 2x. And then I just need to figure out what my numbers are. So two numbers that multiply into negative 22 are going to be negative 11 and 2. Negative 11 times 2 is negative 22. Negative 11 plus 2 is negative 9. So we have a negative 11 here. We have a 2 here. So my first factor is going to be 2x minus 11. My second factor is going to be 2x plus 2. Wait, I messed up, didn't I? It's not 2x plus 2, is it? I wanted to make sure we pay attention. We really need to remember to reduce out of my plus sign, right? And 2x plus 2 can reduce because I can divide both of these by 2. So this is just going to be a x plus 1. So I have a 2x minus 11 times an x plus 1. All right, so now we solve both of these. We're going to set both of these equal to 0. I'm going to say 2x minus 11 equals 0. Start off, we add 11 to both sides. Get 2x equals 11. Divide both sides by 2. And we get our answer of x equals 11 over 2. Or you could also write that as decimal as 5.5. All right, now for my other one. So that's my first answer. My other answer, we have x plus 1 equals 0. That's a little bit easier. All we have to do here is minus 1 on both sides. And so we're just going to get x equals negative 1. All right, then it asks, what is the value of the positive root? And the positive root is 11 over 2. Or, if you want it to be technical, 5.5. Okay? All right, very last one, number 10. So number 10, we have a 2x squared equals 18x. First step is always bring everything out to one side. So we're going to minus this 18x, minus it to this side. These are not like terms. We cannot combine them. So we're just going to have 2x squared minus 18x equals 0. Well, this is a binomial. And so we're going to first look for a GCF, and then if that doesn't work, we're going to look for a difference of squares. So my first step, let's look for a GCF. And these two have a lot in common. First off, they have a 2, but they also both have an x. So we're going to pull out an x with each one of these. So we're going to divide this by a 2x. We're going to divide this by a 2x. And I'm going to get an x on the outside times, 2x on the outside times x minus 9. Okay, we check and see if we can factor anymore, and I can't factor this one anymore. So we just take my two factors and we set them both equal to 0. Any factor that has an x in it, we set equal to 0. So 2x, that's a factor. It has an x in it. And so I'm going to set that equal to 0. 2x equals 0. And x minus 9 equals 0. Okay, so let's solve this. To solve this one, we'll divide both sides by 2. Well, 0 divided by 2 is still just 0. So there's my first answer. My second answer, we have x minus 9 equals 0. Let's add 9 to both sides. And we get my other answer. We have x equals 9. Okay. Now here's the deal. It asked me for the x-intercepts. Now I said that's another way of writing a solution. However, we're going to be very particular. We're going to put this actually in some coordinate points. And to find my x-intercepts, we are going to write out my coordinate points. Here are my coordinate points. Ready? The coordinate point for this one is going to be 0, 0. Hey, that's my first x-intercept. My second one's going to be at 9, 0. So whenever you see those are your intercepts. All right, guys, I really, really hope this has been helpful to you. Please, as always, let me know if you have any questions. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.